We're back. This is Pokemon in real life. My name is Cody, and I will be taking you on exciting but brief journeys through the science and natural history that inspired the world of Pokemon. Today's episode, Cacturne. Let's start with the Pokedex entry for Cacturne. During the daytime, Cacturne remains unmoving, so that it does not lose any moisture to the harsh desert sun. This Pokemon becomes active at night when the temperature drops. Well, that's presumed to be where the Urnin Cacturne comes from. A nocturnal cactus. Weird, right? Turns out, not that weird. Cacti, among some other desert plants, are known as cam plants. To get into exactly what this means, we're going to need to take a look at some biochemistry. Plants need sugar molecules for building structures like leaves and fruit. They also need it for cellular respiration, which is the key way cells make energy. They are able to build these molecules using CO2 from the air and energy from photosynthesis in a chemical process called the Calvin cycle. Plants that simply perform the Calvin cycle are called C3 plants. However, there are a couple problems with the Calvin cycle. There's not a lot of CO2 in the air relative to oxygen. The atmosphere is 21% oxygen and only 0.03% carbon dioxide. And oxygen hampers the efficiency of the Calvin cycle, as well as photosynthesis. Certain plants have solved this problem by first attaching the carbons from CO2 to a compound called PEP carboxylase. Once attached, these structures can be moved to cells deeper within the plants, away from oxygen, where carbon can safely be moved into the Calvin cycle. Plants that do this are called C4 plants. Now, one more problem for desert plants to solve in particular. These plants let in atmosphere through their stomata, small openings in the epidermis. However, this action during the heat of day can lead to a major loss of moisture, dehydrating the plant. Yet this is the best time for the Calvin cycle to take advantage of the energy from photosynthesis. Natural selection has solved this problem in cam plants like cacti. These plants only open their stomata in the coolness of night, taking in vast quantities of CO2, attaching the molecule to organic acids. The carbon source can then be released into the Calvin cycle the following day to take advantage of photosynthetic energy. Like in C4 plants, this also solves the pesky oxygen problem in one fell, complex chemical swoop. Now, this may all seem complex to someone new to the process, and it is. In fact, that's the beauty of it. It's far more complex than chemical syntheses invented by humans. Anyways, that's how we get the nocturnal cactus Pokemon based on the saguaro cactus. The saguaro's scientific name is Carnegie gigantea, named after the famed industrialist Andrew Carnegie. It's the only species in the Carnegie genus. The gigantea part of the name is not a tribute, it's earned. I'm standing next to what was one of the largest saguaro cacti in the world. Sadly, now it's dying. It's probably over 200 years old, and at its peak it stood over 40 feet with over 40 arms. More arms means more reproductive success for the cactus. More arms means more flowers, and more flowers means more seeds. Those flowers are pollinated by bats among other sources, and as a result, the saguaro opens its flowers at night, closing them again the following afternoon. Again, pretty nocturnal as far as plants go. Pollination doesn't just help the cactus. Some bats can subsist entirely on pollen and nectar. Also, nutrients found in the saguaro's pollen may help sustain lactation in female bats. Cacti tell an incredible story of desert survival. The thick columnar structure of the saguaro allows it to hold incredible amounts of water, maximizing volume while minimizing surface area exposed to the hot desert sun. Up to 90% of a freshly weighed cactus can be water. Because access to water can vary over time, the ribs on a saguaro's column expand and contract like an accordion. Bats aren't the only beneficiaries of the saguaro. It can serve as a food source to many animals, and holes in the plant can provide a safe place for birds to nest. Sonoran desert natives like the Tohono O'odham have used wood from the saguaro to build their shelters. They've eaten it as food, and they've even used the fruit from the cactus to make an alcoholic beverage. The saguaro was so important to the Tohono O'odham, they referenced the cactus as though it were human. They would not allow harm to come to saguaros because they were considered fellow Indians. That tradition lives on, in a way, to this day. Though not endangered, the saguaro is considered threatened by human activity. As a result, it's protected under Arizona state law. Uprooting a saguaro can earn you a $10,000 fine without first obtaining a permit. The saguaro can protect itself though. In 1982, two roommates went out shooting near Lake Pleasant. One made the unwise decision to fire on a 100-year-old cactus, a practice called cactus plugging. The shot knocked off a 4-foot limb, crushing him to death. Sounds like just the sort of thing Cacturne would do. This has been Pokemon in Real Life.